Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session at Demand 2024. Heidi and I are super excited to talk to you all about how we blended digital and physical tactics to grow our sales pipeline by $10 million. My name is Alicia Grant. I'm the growth marketer at Resolver. I'm responsible for all of our fun programs and activations, such as webinars, event promotions, and our ABM programs. And I get to talk with our sales team on day-to-day to create these amazing programs. I'll pass it over to Heidi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Alicia. And my name is Heidi Vandermeer, and I'm the Director of Demand Generation at Resolver. I manage our demand team to drive growth, and I oversee our demand strategy, budget, and the team that runs our campaigns, SEM, SEO, content, events, webinars, and account-based marketing. And yeah, so we're very excited to talk to you about some of the programs that we ran to grow our pipeline by $10 million, and especially post-pandemic, how we blended digital and physical to do so. So our big number here, $10 million, how did we do that? There's kind of two key components that we'll be going through, and we'll be doing a mix of going back to basics, sharing some specific things that worked for us, specific to our business, but also sharing tips and tricks that can extend to a number of different B2B businesses as well. So we'll be focusing on how important it is to know your own audience, how we do so, build the right strategy, and then run amazing sales-aligned programs, which helped us achieve that result. So starting off with knowing your audience and building the right strategy, just a bit of background as to what we do at Resolver. We are a business-to-business SaaS company, and we have multiple product lines across governance, risk, compliance, and physical security software. And we have very distinct buying personas and behavioral patterns with the different audiences that we connect with. And so we have to design different programs to reach both of those different audiences. And I'll pass it off to Alicia to describe those in a little bit more detail.
Meet Savannah, our GRC buyer persona. So Savannah is typically a chief risk officer who's all about managing risks and ensuring compliance across her organization. Savannah is very detail-oriented, data-driven, and she's always looking for solutions that offer measurable benefits and outcomes that are aligned to her goals. And in order for us to really connect with Savannah, we have to provide in-depth case studies, white papers that really showcase our expertise and the impact of how Resolver solutions will be impacting her. Next up, we have John, who is our corporate security buyer persona, and he is a chief security officer who's really focused on protecting his organization's physical assets and ensuring the safety of his team and his workers. And he really values robust solutions, reliable solutions that also integrate seamlessly within their existing systems. And so when we're thinking about how to target John, we put emphasis on the strength and reliability of Resolver's products, and we back it up by sharing case studies, customer success stories from similar industries as John.
Great. And so in terms of building out the right strategy for the different audiences that we have here, obviously it's super important to know your customer very well. And if you're able to talk to your customers directly or your sales team, you can get a good idea of their industry speak and how you might also want to position your messaging and your value proposition. Obviously, you want to focus on your strengths, do some testing if possible to see what resonates the most, and keep that communication of your strong value props consistent across different channels that you're running, and possible where show social proof and credibility. I think this works for every audience, and especially between our GRC and corporate security audiences, we find it's super helpful with our CorpSec crowd. There's a ton of really great network effects that happen on that side. And then it's obviously very important on both sides, but it is interesting to see how certain audiences really rely on that more than others too. And then, of course, when you're building out your channel mix, we like to run multi-channel campaigns. We find it just helps to drive the message across multiple different mediums. Everybody takes in information and remembers things and has recall across different channels a little bit differently. And so I think it's important to diversify your channel mix to make sure that you do have a more consistent message and it's more resilient if there are changes. Obviously, a few years back, we had the pandemic, which changed a lot of things and shifted a lot of marketing tactics more digital. We still, coming back since the pandemic, we have found that there's a couple of differences that we'll get into when you're focusing on your offline channels. And we do find that when we are combining it across certain types of playbooks that we'll get into in a bit more detail, it helps to drive better results when you are using multiple channels, and it really kind of you'll see better results overall by mixing up a couple of channels where it makes sense for your audience. And of course, you want to make sure that you're focusing on the metrics that matter to both your sales and your marketing team. Focusing on a shared KPI we found has been really helpful. At Resolver, we like to focus specifically on meetings and opportunities because our sales cycle can be a little bit longer. We obviously do measure revenue as well, and a lot of more traditional marketing KPIs that show how well a channel is working, but that's something that's really important for us. Working on partner networks helps us to tap into an audience that has existing trust, and making sure that we're allocating our resources, both from a budget standpoint and ours personnel standpoint, I think is something that we really have to keep in consideration when we're building out our channel mix. So the next step, running amazing sales-aligned programs. This is something that we really focus on, especially in more complex business-to-business cycles. This is an area that we find running aligned programs it helps us to get stronger revenue growth. And I've seen that within my own experience. And there's also been studies on this that better sales and marketing alignment leads to 208% revenue growth. And I'll pass it off to Alicia to talk a little bit more about some of the details of our programs.
Thanks. So combining our digital and physical marketing tactics is really key for us in order to build a robust pipeline. And when we're thinking about blending both approaches, we can really start to engage personas like Savannah and John throughout their entire journey. So from the initial awareness stage all the way to post-purchase. And when we're aligning our messaging and branding across both digital and physical channels, it really ensures that there's a consistent and seamless experience that not only keeps our brand top of mind, but ensures that our audience is being also kept at top of mind. And at Resolver, we definitely have quite a few different examples of digital and physical that we work through. So one example being our direct mailers, and we segment these by tiers, territories, and industries. But the direct mailers are a part of even larger ABM programs, as well as even our events and webinars. So again, the importance of blending digital and physical for maximum impact, to, let's say, be sending a direct mailer to engaged prospects after they attended a webinar, or if they attended our booth at a physical event, blending those together, and then having, let's say, paid ads also being targeted to those exact same prospects, and blending the two channels to create an omni-channel experience. Next up, we have our webinar playbook. So it's a well-structured webinar playbook is really essential for maximizing the impact of our thought leadership content, as well as list building in order to pass it off to our sales team to further drive those conversations. We focus on partnering with industry experts to add credibility and value to our content. When we're thinking about topics for webinars, we traditionally like to stay within educational content, whether that be emerging trends or challenges in the current industry or market. We really like to focus on thought leadership and positioning Resolver as such. We also, our SDRs are doing outreach before and after webinars to drive attendance and encourage follow-up and build that relationship in that way. And again, really bringing in the physical aspect of a digital webinar would be our ad hoc direct mailers to really reinforce the importance of what the webinar was talking about, as well as to build that relationship between the sales and the prospects.
Great. And so next I'll be talking a little bit about our event playbook, which has been really helpful for both sides of our business as well. Our team at Resolver since the pandemic has built out such a comprehensive and amazing event playbook that I'm excited to share a little bit about with you. And we have a very robust process for considering the events that we look at investing in. I'm sure, as a lot of you have seen, the cost of hosting events and investing in events has gone up considerably since 2020. And so it's really important for us to make sure that we're considering everything from the audience that will be there, maybe sending a sales rep on site to test it out 1 year if we're not sure if we're going to go back the next, and really evaluating whether or not we think it'll be worth it before spending a lot of money on events, as it can definitely be a good chunk of budget. We also, once we do decide to go to an event and make sure that it's aligned with our target lists and target audience, we do a ton of pre-event sales and marketing promotion. Our sales team and marketing team have been extremely good at booking meetings on site prior to an event. At other companies I've been at, we've really struggled with that, and it's helped us a lot here to have a very aligned process with our sales group, develop targeted gift meeting incentives on site, and really get our target lists pre-event very well set up, and making sure that we're having the best chance of having good engagement with the people that we want to meet with at the event. So we tend to be able to book a lot of meetings prior to actually going to an event, which helps us to meet with the people that we want to talk to. We obviously do a lot from the marketing side across emails, social promotion, setting up different landing pages. And then obviously being on site, we have a pretty good strategy for how our sales reps will engage with people there to make sure that we're bringing people into our booth and attracting them in the right way with different on-site activations, something that could be eye-catching, showing demos of our product while we're on site as well, and having enough structure and areas that our sales team and customer success team can really get the best engagement possible from who they're talking to. Since the pandemic as well, we've seen QR codes are very popular and well used, and we generate a lot of engagement and connecting our physical experience to a digital experience by having, often it could be some kind of raffle or giveaway or other offer that people can enter through a QR code. And so that's another really great way that we've found has been helpful for us on site. And then obviously we have a very strong post-event follow-up structure across our marketing emails and sales emails to make sure that we're getting the most out of our investment on site and booking as many meetings as possible after the event.
And our ABM playbook is really crucial for targeting our high value accounts with not only precision, but also with personalization. At Resolver, we run quite a few different account-based marketing campaigns, but it all really starts with thinking of our buyer personas. So going back to Savannah and John and thinking about their goals, their challenges, their pain points, and then building out a campaign from there. And what we've seen so far with our GRC and corporate security side is that industry-focused campaigns have performed really well for us. But we really start by focusing on identifying our key accounts that align with the type of campaign that we're trying to run. And when we're putting together these personalized marketing emails that are specifically targeted to an industry, let's say, or by tiers, let's say, we're using this type of segmentation even with our direct mailers as well to make more of a personal connection. So for example, like our GRC audience, they are really receptive to consumables. So like candies and chocolates and what have you, and having the note card message be a little bit more on the punny side, and obviously relate it back to the value prop in a punny kind of way. Whereas our corporate security side, they're way more receptive to tangible products. So for example, we had a tile tag, which with a tagline of taking corporate security from lost to found. And that was performed really well, that we even used that type of gift for our events as we are engaging with the prospects, and the SDRs are able to give them a tile tag as well. And so really with our ABM programs, it's super important that we go back to blending the physical and the digital together and being really strategic with our account selection and having very tight coordination with our sales team for follow-up and our nurture programs to really move these leads through the pipeline.
Awesome. Thanks, Alicia. And so as you can see, the playbooks that we've mentioned, even though we kind of structured around a specific channel or kind of tactic, they're all very omni-channel. The reason why we're calling them an ABM playbook versus an event playbook versus a webinar playbook is that they are structured around a core item that tends to lead directly to engagement. And obviously our ABM playbooks can involve events, they can involve webinars, and vice versa. We can tie our events to other channels as well. But when we do our attribution and look at where we drove our pipeline from, we do something at Resolver more around last touch attribution, and we audit it pretty closely to identify what was the type of SDR sequence within a recent history. If they were doing follow-up, that was driven from a specific channel, or was it cold outreach? Was it a mix of sales and marketing, or was it more from our inbound demo requests? That's how we're looking at these more outbound type marketing plays, and how we'll link them back to kind of what we've defined here for our different playbooks. And so the results of how we got $10 million across our two different personas that we're talking about here. For our governance, risk, and compliance side, we drove $4.2 million in pipeline, and corporate security a little bit more at $5.8 million. And it's really interesting to see the channel mix as well. We have found that our GRC side reacts a little bit more, and there's a bit of a bigger audience on the digital end. And so that's where we've invested a bit more money. And on the corporate security side, they really respond well to a lot of that tactical and in-person experience. But it does require a mix of both and having that message going across the different channels. And so as you can see from the different playbooks that we just described here, we definitely had the most success with our events on the corporate security side. It drove just over 2/3 of our pipeline, and we still got very cost-efficient pipeline driven from our ABM programs and webinars, but those did tend to resonate better on our governance, risk, and compliance side of the business too. So just a quick breakdown here at a high level of how we drove that $10 million in pipeline. So quickly going into some tips, tricks, and things to avoid.
Yeah, for tips and tricks, at Resolver, we really focus on celebrating our early wins. So as an example, when an SDR books a meeting from one of our ABM campaigns, we have a little Slack party going off and everyone is just celebrating that SDR. It really helps to build momentum, keep the team motivated, and have positive morale amongst all of us. And another tip is just to be objective in tracking attribution. So focus on what is really driving the results and then maximizing that. And also don't be afraid to do things that don't scale. Like sometimes small, high impact actions can really lay the foundation for long-term growth, even if the results aren't immediate. And really taking the steps early on when building your programs helps make progress, of course, but even if the results aren't immediate or not sustainable in the long term. And I think as marketers, it really encourages us to focus on the fundamentals rather than, getting caught up in the pursuit of rapid scaling.
Great. And just really quickly, avoid vanity metrics, focus on the things that matter, don't work in silos, make sure that you're not just in a marketing bubble, and avoid overcomplication and taking on too much at once. Realizing we're coming up on time, so just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in to our session and hope you enjoy the rest of Demand 2024.